for this time. God, help us, God, to apply your word. God, to be open and teachable, God. And I pray, God, your favor, God, you shower mercy for all those that are coming. In your name we pray.
I do not want to send out churches, pastors that are uneducated when we have the ability to learn during Sunday school. The way I see it, this is my view, this is my personal view, is that we should take advantage of Sunday school to biblically educate. So basically what I'm saying is I will use Sunday school to equip future pastors, simultaneously teaching the church, whatever the lesson is. But I want them to be designed to be practical, to be useful, to challenge, to push, to move forward. Homework is designed for me to know where disciples are. That's what homework is designed for. Not just to occupy time, not just, for me to know where they are, whether, where they are biblically literate, their thoughts, where they're going, effort, organization. I know that as a pioneer pastor, I know for sure, you got to balance home, you got to balance marriage, you got to balance work, writing sermons, you got to balance a lot of things. And if you can't do the homework, okay, what makes you think, well, hey, once I get out, then I'm going to start working really hard? No, you start now. And very few people do the homework. Very few, okay? Now, this is alarming for me as a pastor because, we're looking at conference coming up. We're looking at sending churches, our vision of sending churches. And it's alarming. It's alarming. I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think that the homework is too overwhelming. I just asked you to do something simple and PDF it to me, and only like 6 people did it. So I'm not frustrated. I'm concerned. That's all. That's all. I just really want to stay focused on Sunday school to push us and to help biblically educate us. So there's my rant for today. You're welcome. With that in mind, our homework was Philippians chapter 1, verse 1 through 5. So volunteers first, Charisse. The reason is she'll go crazy until she can get it out and relax. Yes. Excellent. Excellent. Very good. Very good. And you don't know what version that is, right? No idea. Because you use the word partnership. New King James uses the word fellowship. There's a couple other differences there. Okay? All right. Any other volunteers? Okay. So I just start picking on you. Yeah. So moving left to right. Brandy, have it?
Part of it? Let's
go.
Try.
Yeah, let's go.
Philippians 1, through 5.
Mm-hmm.
To all the saints with Christ Jesus and in Philippi,
With deacons and bishops.
with deacons and bishops.
Wait, with bishops and deacons, sorry. Okay, go ahead. That's fine.
I think
Grace and peace.
grace and peace to you from God our Father, Christ Jesus.
God our Father and Lord Christ Jesus. Fine. Good.
I think every remembrance
Mm-hmm. I thank God upon the remembrance
of you.
of you. Yeah. And now what's he doing?
He's making prayers
Mm-hmm.
with joy.
Okay. And he's happy for the fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now. From the first day until now. I don't know about forever. I don't think so. But, all right, good. All right, very good. You have it? No. You have it? No. Part of it?
Version,
Go ahead.
Paul and Timothy, bondservants of Christ Jesus, to all the church in Philippi. I forgot the rest.
Okay. Well, it's a start. It's a start. Very good. Okay. Roman? No. James? Joseph? Nancy? Go ahead.
Paul and Timothy, bondservants of Jesus Christ.
Good.
To all the saints in Christ Jesus who are in Philippi.
Yes.
With the bishops and deacons.
Yes.
Grace to you, peace and grace to you from our Lord Father and Jesus Christ.
From God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Yeah.
This next word,
Okay. Remember.
I thank God for every remembrance.
I thank God upon the remembrance of you. Okay? Always.
Always in my prayers, always making request prayers.
Okay.
Joy.
Uh-huh.
About fellowshipping.
Okay, all, yeah. From then to now. Okay, right? Just work on that last part. All right, Cassidy? Real loud, real loud.
Philippians 1:1-5. Paul and Timothy, servants of Christ Jesus, to the saints in Christ Jesus from Philippi, including the overseers and deacons.
Mm-hmm.
Grace and peace to you from God and the Lord Christ Jesus. I thank my God for the remembrance of you, always praying with joy for all of you, because in my every prayer, because of the partnership in the gospel from the first day until now.
Excellent. Tina? Don't yell at me. I just give the homework. Go ahead.
Okay. Paul and Timothy, servants of God, to all God's people in Philippi, including the elders and the deacons.
Yes.
Grace and peace
Mm-hmm.
from our God, our Father, and Lord Jesus Christ.
Good.
I give thanks for my remembrance. I give thanks to my God for all the remembrance. Always enjoy praying for everyone. And then from partnership or fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now.
Excellent. Very good. Why did you get mad? It was very good. Tiani, no. Yeah. Mimi, have it? You don't? Zach? Yes? Go ahead.
Philippians 1:1-5. Paul and Timothy, bondservants of Jesus Christ, to all the saints in Christ Jesus who are in Philippi, with the bishops and the deacons, grace and peace to
Mm-hmm.
you from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I thank my God upon every remembrance of you.
Mm-hmm.
Always in every prayer of mine, making requests for you all with joy in fellowship of the gospel first day until now.
That's almost perfect. Well, you said, I'll try. You got it. You nailed it. Joe?
I'm not going to try.
Berto? Joe? Peter?
About the only thing I can do from Philippians is chapter 3, 7 to 14.
Okay, we're going to get to there in the next couple months. My goal is we're going to memorize the book of Philippians, but I don't want to discourage everyone too quickly.
All right. Okay. Good goal.
Anybody? Khalif? No. Up here. Jaden, Ethan, Yeshua, Leela. No. Okay. All right. Bernice.
I could paraphrase.
Okay. Oh, that's an option, they say.
Paul and Philip, in Philippi, and I thank God.
Okay, no. Nice try. Oh, man. Okay, watch this. Church history. Or no? Okay, good. Good answer, Joseph. You tell me, listen to my specific question. Very specific. You tell me why church history matters to you. Any volunteers? Go ahead, Connie.
It matters to me because when I'm out on outreach and people tell me, oh, just different things about the church, oh, how it was corrupted in the past and
Okay.
all of that and where we're at now, I can kind of bring them to an understanding like, yes, the church was like this and this is where we're at right now.
Okay.
But just have that knowledge to give to them.
Okay, good.
Kind of change their mind.
Right. When people would attack the church or say something about the church, we would know, hey, that's true, that's not true, this is why this happened. You will be armed for sure. Great. That would be a big goal of mine in this class, to give you that ammunition, that you'd be able to do that. Awesome. Joseph, why does it matter to you?
I like to know where I come from.
Okay?
And knowing the history of the church, like, okay, our church is on track, my life is on track, I line up with what God wants.
Good. Okay, so it matters to Joseph because is where we are today, are we fulfilling the intended purpose from the very beginning? Did it get off track? Did it get back on track? Are we on track? Good. Roman?
To me, it just gives validity of the Bible itself. To me, it's more like human history
Okay.
as well, because it shows you where you really did come from, and then seeing historical evidence that just confirms.
Okay, so this is going to reassure our faith, confirm our faith, give us more faith in, for lack of better terms, the institution of the church, because it was instituted, right? Jesus says, I will build my church. So he had an intended purpose. This is an institution. It is, but it's the body of Christ. I'm using institution loosely for any, I don't get hate mail, but if one day I do get hate mail, the church is an institution. It is a group of people, ecclesia, called out, meeting together, okay? The building is not it, it's the people, but he intended it to be that. So this gives us validity to what he started, reassures our faith. Very good. James Bola?
So a lot of it kind of relates to when we're, in the Bible reading about the kings. And to me, you see good kings and bad kings. So
Okay.
in the church, in history, you'll see good and bad, and you can kind of relate, kind of like what
Yeah.
Joseph talking about. Where you're
Great
standing,
point, James.
Where you're trying to go. And in times in our lives, we sometimes are lined up good, and we're sometimes lined up bad.
Yeah, good.
And we say, oh, this is wrong. What do I do to correct it?
Very good, James. I didn't think of that, and that's a great point. So in our generation right now, there's good churches in these denominations that are mainstream denominations that do stupid. And people say, well, I'm just done with the whole church. Well, okay. There's always been stupid. There's always been people that get offline and change their doctrine. I mean, the Methodist Church is condoning homosexuality now. I mean, they've gotten so far off track. And we want to make sure we stay on track. And just because one church goes bad, there's never been a golden age. I think we talked about that last week. There's never been a golden age of the church, okay? And it is my opinion, that Christian Fellowship Ministries, the Potter's House, we got pretty close to the intended purpose that Jesus wanted. And we can just verify that by looking at what Jesus did in the book of Acts. Are we doing those same things? Okay? All right? And then that leads us to traditions, maybe even style. Style has nothing to do with doctrine. Preference, color preference, song choice preference. Those things aren't doctrinal issues unless you're not singing about Jesus and the power and the blood and the cross. But there are some traditions that have nothing to do with doctrine. Okay? We can't get hung up on some traditions. Okay? Anybody else? Why church history matters to you? Eres vita.
Something like what I want to know how I got here today, that I picked, that I'm in this church versus Catholic or Presbyterian.
Okay, very good.
Why exactly?
Okay, brings up two points. Like, how did I get to this denomination amongst all the denominations that there are? What if I was born into this denomination? Would I be struggling in that denomination? Would I have conflict in the Bible? Yeah, and then it ties in, right? And we're going to learn all about the Catholic Church, and then it ties into what Romans said. That, hey, man, where I am and the preaching that I'm sitting under, wow, I really appreciate it now a little bit more. Knowing church history, we could appreciate, what we're listening to now in the gospel preaching, because not every church preaches the gospel. Not every church believes in discipleship and clean living and standards for those that are going to minister to people, right? So it's going to give us an appreciation also. And then that led into last week, we talked about church transfers. If they come from another denomination, another church, there are going to be questions. There's going to be things that need to be clarified. And if they're not okay with those, it could create a problem in their faith in the future, and also could hurt other people in the church in the future if they're not willing to adopt and adapt to those doctrines, okay? And so, yes, why it matters. Yes, Cherise?
For me, I think it's just an encouragement that we're not the only one in this faith.
Okay.
We're struggling, striving is the right word. Striving
Yeah.
to know God more and to, you can look back at church history,
Yeah.
2,000 years, and you're like, wow, there were so many people before me who believed the same thing, and it's like,
Man. So,
I can keep going.
yeah, okay, so let me cut you off there, and I love the thought, because we are currently, if you think about it, this is real deep, we are the last church currently. Right? We're either continuing what they started or we're not. Right? So I was thinking about it. We had one of our biggest outreach teams on Thursday that we've ever had, since I've been here, that I've ever had here. And it just felt good. It was just massive. And I thought, man, we are doing what they intended from the book of Acts. We're continuing it. Right? And so knowing where they came from, the sacrifice that they gave, this is all worth it. Okay? All right? Anybody else? Anything else? Joe?
I would say also, like my awesome wife said, it helps with doing outreach, because we can only share our testimony and try to, in hopes, turn people to come to church, but it's those little gaps that we fill in with the knowledge that we learned from Sunday school. Okay,
very good. That's big time for me as well. I have a lot of gaps in my thought, like in the history, and today is really going to help you, because then we're going to fill in a lot of those gaps. But for sure, knowledge, more and more of understanding makes things a lot clearer when we're reading our Bible as well. Okay, and that'll become evident today. Okay, foundations. Today's lesson is called Foundations. If you were to start with church history, where would you by default start? Where would you start? By just default, where would you start?
I would start with Pentecost, really.
Okay, so that's where you would think you would start, okay? But that's not actually where we start. And there's a big reason why, okay? My fear today is to mention Cyrus the Great and you just shut down. Like Alexander the Great. When, where, what? Okay, I'm done. That was me in history class in high school. They just started saying these names and these periods. I had no idea what they meant. Now, everything, okay, not everything. My goal is to, everything that I tell you today relates to church history and to us today. There's no extra information. This is why my brain hurts daily, because there is so much information that I have to distill and filter. Why does this matter to you? Why would the students want to know this? Do I want them to know this? Is there a reason to know it? Okay, and we're gonna distill it. Okay, and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do it. It's right here. Okay, this takes us up almost to the next class. So we're gonna overlap each class just a little bit. Okay, now. If you could explain this, and it's going to go from left to right, okay, you got it. You got the foundations of the church from the very beginning. Okay. I want you to stop me with questions or to interject. This is interactive. And I want you to get it. So say, stop. I don't understand. And I'll go back and I'll explain it. Okay, we took a class. It was called Through the Bible. And we went through the history of the Bible in 6 minutes. We've done it twice. And we've done it twice on purpose. And we're going to do it every year. Okay? We're going to do it every year or every year and a half or so when the new people come in. And it's a good refresher course because, okay, this word exile, okay, is at the end of the kings. Okay, so you got Adam and Eve, you got the flood, Tower of Babel, then you got Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, 12 sons, Joseph goes to Egypt, right? Family moves to Egypt. They multiply in Egypt for 400 years. Moses comes in, takes them out, heading to the promised land. 40 years in the desert, right? 40 years in the desert. Joshua takes them into the promised land. They demand a king. No, we don't. God says, I'm your king. They demand a king. First king is Saul, falls David. David does mostly good, except for the case of Bathsheba. Solomon is doing really well until he marries a bunch of wives. God splits the kingdom. Now, this is important, okay? Okay, splits the kingdom. North Israel, south Judah. Okay, that's important. Now, the kings of the north, Israel, and the kings of Judah are mostly bad, but there's a few reformers and some good ones. The prophets warn, serve me, or you're going to lose your land. This is very important with church history. Serve me, or you're going to be removed from your land. They did not. Okay? Babylon comes in, and they capture the southern part. Okay? Babylon, think modern day Iraq. Babylon, think modern day Iraq, Iran, that area. Okay? The north, remember it's split. Assyria comes in, along with the Babylonians. Okay? And they capture the northern part. Okay? All right. So now there's an exile. Now they're exiled for how many years? 70. Very good. So 70 years they're exiled. Now, at the time that they're exiled, Persia under Cyrus the Great starts to become an empire. I want you to think in empires. I want you to think of conquering lands. The Persian Empire starts Greece, modern day Greece, Turkey, Southeast Asia, all the way down, maybe even all the way to India. Or we're talking the Mediterranean. We're talking massive, massive empire under Cyrus the Great. Okay? At the time, at the end of the 70 years in exile, Cyrus the Great allows the Jews to go back home. Under a pagan king, God moves upon his heart and he allows them to go back to build the temple. Everybody right? You good? Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, right? All those times. So now they're coming back. Here's the problem. Not everybody goes back. Not everybody goes back. They go back in waves, but not everybody goes back. Some people, they stay in Babylon. Some go to Egypt. Some go north. Not everybody comes back. And you're going to find out why that matters. So Cyrus allows them to come back. He dies. Remember Darius and how do you say his name? Xerxes? They continue allowing them to come back. It's kind of like, cool, you guys can go make your temples. We don't really care that much, okay? All right. I was going to put this word up there, it doesn't matter. It's called diaspora. Diaspora. Diaspora means disperse. The Jews have been dispersed so many times, so many ways. They're now dispersed. They were all in Israel. They're captured. Now they're everywhere. This matters, okay, because of Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, this dude was a monster. He had a chip on his shoulder. He wanted to prove his dad that he's bigger and better and greater than his dad. Anybody done any studies on Alexander the Great? Okay, James a little bit. He's just conquering all of the Persian area. He's just going country by country. He's dominating. But the reason this is really important in church history, and we're going to tie this all together, okay, is that he is now causing Greek influence, Greek philosophy, Stoicism, Greek gods, technology. I liken Greece to the strong, like, American culture. America's cutting edge. America thinks they're the center of the world. America has all these inventions. We've produced the greatest documents. If you think about it, American influence has affected the East. Movies. In Brazil, they want to watch the movies. In Hollywood and everywhere except India, they have Dollywood, right? And we don't want that influence. But American culture has influenced the entire world, right? Think that mentality for Greece. It's just permeating. Now people are speaking. Now Alexander takes over. Who's in the regions that Alexander the Great has taken over? Those Jews. So they know Hebrew now, and now they know a second language. They know Greek. They know Greek culture. They know about the Greek gods. Now they don't accept the Greek gods, but they know all about them, right? And now they're cultured. Now they know technology. Now they're well versed in Stoicism. Stoicism is basically Christianity without Christ. Okay? It's the best way I can put Stoicism. It's learning to overcome things and not being rattled in your mind. It's being calm like me. And so the Stoics were very, very influential, the gods and Stoics. I'm building this up because it's very important. Greek culture was super, super strong. So you've got them dispersed. Now you've got them affected by Greek culture, right? Now, during this time, the Greeks were, now remember, through the Bible, we said there's 400 silent years. Okay? Remember, they come home and then we say 400 silent years until Jesus. Well, this right here, Alexander the Great, is during that silent period. So that's where we're filling in the gap a little bit. So we're in that kind of silent period. Well, the Maccabeans say, no, we're losing our culture. We are losing our roots. We're going to fight against the Greek culture. Why? Because Alexander died. He died, and the kingdom split into two main groups. And I'm going to tell you those main groups. You don't have to memorize this, but just know they fell under two groups. The Ptolemaic and the Seleucid Empire. The Ptolemaic, they leave Jews alone. The Seleucid, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. The Seleucid Empire oppressed the Jews. The Maccabeans say, you're not going to oppress us, we're going to fight. Bloody war. Tons of people died. The Maccabeans, which is a Jewish family, okay, they won the war. So that's why you hear about the Maccabeans in 1st and 2nd Maccabees in the Apocrypha. It talks about the story of the Maccabees. The Maccabees. Now, they got peace for 100 years. No oppression. They were able to worship, right? They're able to go to their synagogues. They're able to worship for 100 years. Okay? Now, that matters too, and I'll explain that in a minute. All of these things matter. Okay? Right at the end of the Maccabean revolt, Caesar Augustus, he comes to power in Rome, and he says, you know what? I want to dominate. So we go from Persia to the Greco Empire to now the Roman Empire. And Caesar thinks he's a son of a god. Okay? And so he thinks he's godlike, and he starts to dominate. And boy, do they. They dominate. They conquer all that land from Eastern Europe all the way down around the Mediterranean to Egypt, to just conquering and dominating. Okay? So Rome. Here's the issue. Rome didn't necessarily conquer Greece. They did as far as politically, but they did not culturally. They assimilated and they liked Greek culture, but we're Rome. But we like your movies. And we like your gods. And we like your philosophers. But we're Rome. Okay? Now it's a mix. But it's Rome. Rome. Okay? Right before Jesus, 70 BC, Caesar has a general. His name's Pompey. Pompey wants to be emperor. So he's got to do some things to get a good resume. He goes into Jerusalem and he conquers Judea, which is the state of Israel, all of Judea, Jerusalem. He conquers them and makes Israel a state of Rome. You are now part of Rome. Okay? Caesar's like, that boy's getting a little too big for his britches, and he kills him. Caesar dies, somebody else takes over, and there's a whole long list of Roman empires. I think there's like 82 Roman empires. Goes all the way till 400 AD. Then it splits from east to west, and then there's East Orthodox. We'll get into that later, but just know Rome, they don't mess around. They kill people. They're barbarians. Okay, so they take over. Now they own the state of Now they own Israel. It's a state of Rome now. Now this is really interesting because they hire two people to take care of this new state of Israel that's now part of Rome. They hire a guy named Herod the Great. Everybody's got to be the great. Did he come up with that title? Herod was an adopted Jew that was loyal to Rome. He was on both sides. The Jews hated him. Like, you're loyal to Rome, and we're oppressed by Rome, Roman rule, and you're going to be our king of the Jews? No, they hated him, but he had the backing of Rome. Okay? Pontius Pilate was a prefect. He's a governor, basically. And he's in Caesarea Philippi, but he comes to the festivals that the Jews come to because they come 4 times a year to Jerusalem. But he's there in Jerusalem. He's Pontius Pilate. He's a governor. He's very weak. He's very, he's just a slimy politician that doesn't have a lot of power. And if he can keep peace in Judea, he's going to get promoted. All Pontius Pilate wants to do is get promoted. And he doesn't really like where he's stationed. He doesn't want to be stationed with these Jews. There's too much instability with them. And at any moment, they could create a Maccabean revolt. Remember, Rome remembers the Maccabean revolt. These Jews could rise up at any moment and overtake us, and we could have a new king. So Pontius Pilate, he's scared of the Maccabean revolt. He wants a job. Herod the Great just wants to keep his job and be the king, right? Herod the Great, remember when Jesus was born? They says there's a king, and the Magi come, and then the shepherds, and they say a king's been born in Bethlehem. So what does he do? He kills all the males. He kills all the male babies, 2 years and under. They say there was probably 24 of them at that time. How they came up with that number, I have no idea. But he killed them because he was so scared. Well, he dies in AD 4, right? More or less, he dies. And that's why Joseph and Mary went to Egypt to get out of Herod the Great's jurisdiction. So they're hiding in Egypt, fulfilling a prophecy. Right? So when he dies, they come back in. Well, his son took over, Herod Antipas. It's Herod the Great 2.0, basically. He just wants to keep the peace. He's right there. So now, okay, we've got Rome that just wants money and dominance, okay? And we got the Jews that live there as well. Now, these Jews right here that are living in this land, there's a lot of different types of them for different reasons. Now, this is important because this all plays into how Jesus is treated. Okay, number 1, Jews. We've got Sadducees. The Sadducees believe that they are direct descendants from the high priests and the Levites. They're in charge of the temple. Okay? The temple. They produce the high priest. They are in bed with Rome. Okay? Rome wants them to succeed for money purposes in domination. The high priests, the Sadducees, love Rome because they protect them being in power. They are power-hungry Roman sympathizers. They love their power in the temple because now they have the Sanhedrin, which is the Jewish court. They can execute people. They can tell people what to do. They don't care about people at all. The Sadducees at all. Now you have the Pharisees. The Pharisees, okay, are so bent on keeping the law, okay, because they remember their history during the exile. If you stray away from the law, we're going to take you from your land. So the Pharisees say, we will stick to the law, we will obey the law, so we're not removed and exiled again. They were more with the people, trying to teach the people, obey the law, obey the law. So many steps, don't eat, Sabbath. This is why they were so bent on it. It wasn't necessarily that they're just evil religious people. We want to keep the law, no matter what. So you have the Sadducees. So you have the Sadducees, you have the Pharisees. Then you have the Zealots. The Zealots were Jews that hate Rome, and they're the militia in the United States. They're the guys that have all those M16s in the back room. They're building up ammunition, right? They're going to one day overtake Rome. That's the Zealots. Forget you Sadducees, forget you Pharisees. We're going to fight for our country. No, you're not going to occupy. Then you have the Essenes. The Essenes. You know what their reaction is to Roman domination? We're out of here. We're going to go live in the woods. And we're going to isolate and wait for our Messiah. So they're monks. And they move far away and they're hiding. Well, there's another group. And another group that I forgot to mention the first time, and they're called the Samaritans. Now, the Samaritans, remember in the exile, some they went north, and Assyria came in. Well, those Jews intermarried with Assyrians in the land of Samaria. So that was the plot of the Assyrians to capture the Jews. If they intermarry with our pagans, we own them. Because now we're all intermarried and everybody's cousin is this cousin and you're not going to leave. And so what they did is they forced their women on those Jews, not forced, seduced them, whatever. And so now they're intermarrying. Now they're called Samaritans. From that moment, all the Jews hate the Samaritans because they intermarried with other denominations and pagans. So all the way to where Jesus says, "Oh, we don't deal with the Samaritans." That's why, because they were all intertwined. So you got these Jews, you got the Essenes, you've got the Zealots, and then all of a sudden Jesus Christ shows up and he says, "Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is here." Rome's like, "Say what?" The Sadducees say, "What?" The Pharisees say, "What?" The Zealots, "Let's go, let's kill him. He's here, he shows up." The Sadducees and the Pharisees go, "He showed up in a manger. He's supposed to show up like a king and put all of us on the throne around him." Right? And so they're all waiting for their Messiah. And the Essenes there, they're like, "No, this could be, maybe." Now, Jesus Christ comes and he's preaching forgiveness, he's preaching repentance, he's preaching that he is the only way. He is the Messiah. This disrupts the flow of harmony between Rome and the Jews. Wait. You say you're a king, okay? And Pontius Pilate goes, "No, he doesn't say he wants to be king over Caesar. He's king of some other world. I don't know what he's talking about. You're just religious nuts. Just keep the peace. Keep the peace. Jesus, please don't tell me you're king over Caesar. Render to Caesar what is Caesar's. Render to God what is God's." Like, he's playing both. Okay, so you honor us or you don't? You want to be a king? Are you part of this Maccabean revolt or not? Rome couldn't figure him out. The Jews hated him because, or the Sadducees and the Pharisees hated him because he exposed them for being hypocrites. So Jesus is in the middle and he's making disciples, right? Of fishermen and in the lower people of society. And Jesus Christ, he dies on the cross, rises again, and now we start the revolution. Now, in the book of Acts, in chapter 1 and 2, Jesus, he comes back and he says, "Listen, there's going to be a revival. Wait here. I'm going to fill you with my Holy Spirit. And you're going to preach, and lots of people are going to get saved." It happens. Who gets saved? You know who mainly gets saved? Is all the Greek-influenced Jews. They're open to idea. They're not bent on the religious rituals of the temple because they haven't lived near the temple. They're open to this idea. They have the Septuagint, which is the Greek translation of the Old Testament. The Jews only had the Hebrew one. Now they've got the Greek one, and they're open. They get massively saved. What does it say in the Bible? When the day of Pentecost, they heard everybody speaking in their language. Whoa, these are cultured people. They're speaking and they're speaking French and German, and they're cultured, and they're hearing the preaching in their language. They get radically saved. But not only that, they're there for a feast. Okay? It's the Feast of Pentecost. Remember, they travel to Jerusalem 4 times a year? They're there. They get saved. They stay. They write letters home where? To Egypt, to Greece, to Babylonian, Iraq. They write everybody. Now there's massive revival around the world because of Alexander the Great. God uses these pagan kings to influence the gospel around the world. It gets even better. Paul gets saved. What is Paul? Roman citizen, grew up in Tarsus, which is an extremely Hellenistic, Greek culture society. And he's a Jew of Jews. He's a Pharisee. He's the whole package. He's a Jew, Roman citizen, and he was educated under Greek culture, philosophy. So he knew how to debate. He knew how to see through the eyes of the Greek culture. He knew how to see through the eyes of the Jews. He knew how to see through the eyes of military and dominance. He was the whole package. So when Paul gets saved, he can now go into the temple and debate religion through the eyes of Jesus Christ and through their eyes. Remember when Paul said, I've become all things to all men? He goes, because I understand the Jew mentality, but I also understand the Greek mentality because I speak Greek fluently. I'm fluent in Stoicism. I can use what they know to influence them for Christ. So when they tried to debate him in the temple, he was a master debater, and he won tons of people over. Okay? So what we will learn in the next one is that Paul becomes the influence over the Gentiles. Peter is the leader of the church in Jerusalem, Jew of all Jews. No Hellenistic influence at all, and they butt heads sometimes. Because Paul's saying, wake up, Peter. We're no longer under the law. Jesus Christ came. And they eventually work it out. They're brothers. They work out their differences, and there's harmony, okay? And so then, so Paul is now preaching. The church is now spreading. The new emperor his name's Nero. Nero is he's okay at first with these Christians, but they're rising up everywhere. He starts a fire in Rome. He lights Rome on fire, and then says, the Christians did it. He wanted to burn down Rome and rebuild it his way, and he used Christians as a scapegoat to try to stop them and rebuild Rome. Yeah, bad news. At that time, Nero tries to rebuild. He dies. The next one, Titus, he says, Jews no more. We can't risk any more. Remember, they didn't understand the difference in a Christian and a Jew. To them, Christians were just a sect of Jewish tradition, right? So Titus goes in and he destroys Jerusalem and the temple. Remember, Jesus says not one stone shall be on each other in the future. He destroys all of Jerusalem. Judea, the temple's gone. It's all in ruins. Now the Jews are diaspora again. They're dispersed everywhere, all over. And that's where we're going to pick up next week, because Constantine, in the year 300 or so, he gets saved. Maybe politically, maybe not. But I can't keep going on. We'll start church 10:30. God bless you.